Hi, everybody. Welcome to another night with Ghost Stories with Spooky Ms. T.I. I hope you all have. Hi, everybody. Turn yours off. To another night. Other night. We're trying something new. We're using Rachael's Mac. And did you like the little intro thing that she put together? We're trying to figure out how to fancy this up, but clearly we're still novices. So let's lift our glasses and toast to another night where we can share spooky stories and be together across the interwebs. Cheers. That's good. So tonight, I have some guests, as you probably could tell by the cool little intro banner, that we were here the other day and we were talking about some experiences that Rachael and Jerrilynn have had through their lifetime as friends. And I would like to invite them in right now. Here, let me bring them in. Ready? There they are. How's that for bringing them in?
Let's bring them in.
Bring them in. So we were just talking about some things that they experienced, and some of these stories that you're going to hear, I have told. You're going to hear a little bit about some experiences at the lodge. You're going to hear a little bit from the death house. These were the two of the primary, the death house.
That's what we called it.
Yes, we still call it that. And some other places and things, but some of the things that they experienced, I was not there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lean back and turn it over to these two ladies. This is Jerrilynn over here, and this is Rachael Davis over here. And I'm Spooky Ms. T.I. here in the middle, and I'm going to fade into the back and enjoy my cocktail while they tell you some stories.
Spooky stories. We were trying to figure out where to start, but I guess we do want to start with the death house, is what we were calling it. I guess, what was it? When we were 18 or 19?
Is the death house the first experience?
Or
is the
in chronological
hospital?
order. I don't
Oh,
know.
no. Before you went to that, you guys were up north. You did the state hospital.
Before the death house?
Before the death house,
Okay.
because all that other stuff happened when you were in high school.
Okay, yeah,
And the death
that's
house
right.
was after you graduated.
That's right. The death house was after graduation. So there was, okay, so you start out the state hospital one, and I'll chime in.
Or state hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah, so most people from northern Michigan know that the state hospital in Traverse City has always been really spooky. And when we were in high school, before they started renovations and putting, offices, and there's like a restaurant. There's actually a restaurant in like one of the most haunted buildings.
Yeah, in the base, like in the...
I think it's like Stella's or something.
The tunnels.
We always would gather, and then we would, put 15 kids in a car and drive up to Traverse City in the middle of the night and
we'll be like
peek in
hanging
windows
out
and try to scare ourselves and
Do
stuff.
you guys want to drive to the state hospital?
Let's do it. Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
So we would go, and we had a couple friends who weren't really close with us, but they always kind of were like friends of friends or something.
Yeah.
And knew ways into the tunnels and into the buildings, and we would kind of watch for. This is totally illegal.
Yeah, well,
it's past 20 years, right? We can't.
Yeah, we've passed the
limitations.
statute of limitations.
But we would wait. We kind of had the guards memorized when they would make their rounds, and then as soon as they would get out of there, we would start going
cruising around.
Yeah,
taking pictures, videos.
Yeah, so we had video cameras, and we would like start taking pictures of the buildings and stuff. And Building 50 is probably the most notorious building of the state hospital, and Building 50 is the ward is the children's ward, right? Whereas 26 was the children's ward,
Right.
and
Yes.
50 was the
Men.
men criminally insane and everything.
No, yeah.
Severely developmentally disabled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would kind of creep around the buildings and take pictures. And one time, were you there when we actually got in?
I
tunnels and stuff?
wasn't there the time you got in the tunnels. I never got, was walking. It wasn't in a nighttime. I remember going down there in the daytime once. I think it was when we were exploring the cottages, when all of that stuff went down. But I don't remember being in the tunnels after dark. I remember staying out, being, my role was to watch for
Be the
people.
watch.
Yeah.
The
and
watcher.
I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here and watch for people, cause and you guys go.
So if
I'll
you
wait
guys
here.
get eaten, I'll let someone know.
I'll
took the picture. I
I'll
was
tell
along
people
with the
stories
camera.
about you if you never come back.
I always had the camera. I was taking pictures of everything. And we one night, we had probably 8 or 9 people with us. I think Aaron Decker and Era.
Yeah, I was trying to remember everybody that was there.
It was like the Harrises were with us. Tina was with us.
Yeah, Tina.
And we actually got into Building 50, and there was a window that was when you walked in, we took a couple pictures of the side of the building, and then we walked around the back, and there was a window that was down there that you could push open and then kind of climb down into the building. And then once you're in that room, you could go down any of the hallways and kind of get into the building. And I wasn't brave enough to venture further than that
room.
And back then, I mean, this is, I don't want to age ourselves, but I mean, we're talking 20 years ago. So I didn't have a camera that had anything that displayed on the front of it. So we didn't know what.
It was just a point and shoot.
Yeah, point and shoot. And then I
Get
can't wait to get these
Get
developed.
the film developed, yeah.
So, we took pictures. I went down into the building and we did a group picture in that room. And then they kind of explored. I mean, they were all over in there.
You wanted to be close to the exit.
Yes. Yeah. I stayed close to the exit with the camera. And that night we also went on the tunnels too. But
yeah, I remember the stories, but I definitely did not go in. I remember being like, I'll wait out here and watch and see.
So
If
did
somebody
anything
comes
creepy
by.
happen while you were there?
while we were there, it was, you know how you are when you're in that position where you're like, well, did it really happen? Did I really feel something breathe down my neck, or am I just scaring myself? There was a lot of those stories. We know from our experiences that's not a coincidence, that if you feel someone behind you, it's because there's someone behind you. And you feel that tingle that you feel on your spine and in your neck is because there's a presence, and you always feel the energy and the heat of the person before you can actually see them. And one of my energy healer friends, his name's Nathaniel, he always said that in sniper training and training in the military, they always teach you to pay attention to that feeling, because you'll feel that before you're gonna feel or actually see somebody. So spirits are the same way. We feel them. When
you
we're
feel a
walking,
presence.
yeah. So when you're walking up the stairs and you feel that sudden rush of down your neck, and something is doing that, and you gotta instantly run, that's a real thing. So we felt that kind of stuff.
The door just opened.
Is it windy out?
No. Okay.
That doesn't surprise me.
Didn't this happen the last time you were here, Jerrilynn?
Yes, it did.
Dang it!
Sometimes.
Are they here now?
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Go ahead.
So anyway,
Jerrilynn always brings people with her.
I
Comes with an entourage.
I move things with my energy. Apparently.
And people.
Carrie's on. She can tell that story.
Yep, Carrie's here.
Knocked her over in a chair. So anyway, when we got home, we had turned the film in and from the camera, and I coached cheerleading. I've been coaching cheerleading for almost 25 years, and I had a chair parent who was the person who ran the photo lab at Walmart. And so we went to go pick up the pictures, and she comes out, and she just had this kind of concerned look on her face, and she's like, so do you know, like, what were you guys taking pictures of? She's like, it looks like the state hospital. I was like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, there's something in your pictures, and I really want to show you. And I think I was with Aaron Decker at the time.
Who
And
was it
Alex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Alex. And so she was like, I got to show you what I saw. And she's like, when they were coming out on the machine, I saw this in the picture, and it spooked me out. And then she's like, I'm sorry, I looked at your pictures, but like it was really spooky. And so when we started looking through the pictures in Building 50, there's like, is it 2 stories or 3 stories? I can't remember which one. But in one of the upper windows, there was somebody standing there, and obviously standing there. And it looked like a male. And he had like one of the old school, like if you can like picture what a doctor in the early
120 years ago.
Like what they looked like. He had like a cap around his head and like the big like circle like flashlight thing like in the middle of his head, and looking out the window at us. And
you could see features and everything too. You could see the eyes, and you could see it was really clear.
Do you still have those pictures? I remember
I
those.
do. I have them in the basement somewhere. I'd have to search for them. We actually removed them from our house because we were having issues with our house, and of course now we know it's the house ghost, but at the time we didn't know what it was, and we had somebody come in and do a reading of our house, and they actually made a comment about how there was a picture with a spirit attached to it, and he explained the building and what it looked like. And when I was like knew instantly, I was like, oh my gosh, he's probably talking about the state hospital. And so I went in my box and got it, and he's like, yep, that's the picture I saw. And so we actually...
You got rid of it?
Yeah, we got rid of it. I think we put it like in storage or something. So like I didn't want to get
Haunted
rid of
storage
it,
unit in
but-
Cadillac. That will be another story.
Carrie said that Mead is convinced that she and Layla found the state hospital pictures here, and what you guys probably found was the other time when we went back when we went to investigate the cottages.
Well, so when we saw what led to that story is
Isabel
this
pictures.
one is we were talking about this, and I had the pictures with me, and we were in the this living room is like basically the surrounding of like every
all of our
youth.
adventures started and ended here.
Yeah. So we were
I
all
love that.
we were all sitting in here talking about it, and just like, oh my gosh, like blah blah blah, talking about these spirits and stuff, and got all riled up and excited.
Yeah,
and,
like, we got to figure this out.
yeah, what's going on? We got to release these spirits.
Yeah,
Like,
we
they're stuck
felt
there.
responsible.
So, and at the time, Maria was here and Ez was here.
Yep.
And I think it was Era and Zach, and I think it was just us actually. I don't think there was
the
many
Bunce
more.
Shippers kids, and then you and Maria.
And me and Maria.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God. That's a powerful crew.
and so we were talking about it. I had to work, but you guys were like, let's go.
Yes.
We're gonna go find stuff.
Yep.
And that's the Isabel story.
Yeah, and that's when it was about this time of year, actually. It was because there was still snow, but it was like squishy, melty snow. And we took the video camera, and we also a tape recorder, like just a little dictaphone. And did you tell this story ever? Did we ever get into this story?
I did. I told the story of Isabel.
Okay. Do
Yeah,
you remember
but go
when?
ahead and tell.
Okay.
Go ahead and tell yours. You also took still photos. Somebody had a camera and took still photos.
Yeah, we
35 millimeter.
Maria took photos. Maria was taking the pictures. I wonder if she still has those.
We
honestly.
have. Those are the ones Mead and Layla were looking at.
Okay. Yeah, those were taken during the daytime, but there's obviously like bright light, like there's enormous orbs in the corner.
Oh no, there's night ones, night photos too.
Oh, okay. Are there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing, is that's the other photo, is the group photo of the basement of Building 50. That was the other one that we took. That actually, when we took the group photo before they started going, there was orbs. We took like 2 or 3 of them because, back then you never knew if they were going to turn out, so you always took a lot of them.
Yeah.
But a few of them, there were orbs in it, and then in one of the group pictures, there was a face in it. There was like an actual face standing behind, like.
Yeah, and
Behind
it was
people.
that in the room or in the
In the room.
in the room,
downstairs.
the room by the window.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always skeptical of orbs in flash photos in a dusty old place.
Yeah, in an old place.
Because people moving around stir up the dust, and then a flash will catch the specks and make it look like orbs. But the picture with someone behind you, that's not an orb.
That's not. Yeah, it's not.
And it had
flash.
it had features.
Yeah, that was definitely.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it had features. It wasn't like just like a, weird
just a-
spot in the picture.
It was somebody
And then
was
the
there.
adventures always started here, and then they would come back with all this evidence and run it by me, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, this is what's going on, and yeah, even way back then.
Recently, we had the impetus to try and recover the recording, the EVP recording. That's what Era took that one. Because after we went there, after we went there and went in Building 50, then we wanted to go back and look at other places, and that's when we went on
To the women's cottage.
to the women's cottage, and that was odd because that Isabella story was during the day. It was in the afternoon, and it was.
Mine was with Era, but when you guys went there, it was at night.
I remember very distinctly that it was daytime when we were on the porch.
Wednesday.
And
Was it day? When does
yep.
it look dark?
And I think that Era went back without us, and Maria too. Maria went back at the nighttime and took the photos.
Okay.
When we were there, when we went there and saw the writing and the windowsill, we had nothing with us. We had no video, we had no camera, that's why we went back, or they went back with stuff, because we didn't have anything. We were just walking around, and we had no camera or recorder or video recorder, nothing. We were just walking around, and it was, like we just went up on the porch, and there was like chicken wire along the side, and you could see in the windows, and it was totally empty, and it was just big, huge, wide open rooms with huge, tall ceilings, and there was like maybe four of us, maybe 5. I'm trying to remember who all was there, but I can't. It was a group of us, and we you walk up the stairs, and then there was like a window on the left, and then there was the door to go in, and then there was a couple more windows around the porch there. And so we just kind of walked down there, and we were looking in the windows, and then we walked to the end of the porch, and so we walked past the door, looked in the first window, and then we walked past that and looked in the second window, and then we're like turn around to go back off the porch, and I was the one that noticed that there was this kind of soft cursive writing letters in the snow on the windowsill, right where we were 10 seconds earlier, and it was on the windowsill, and it looked like somebody with the finger had written it, and I was in the back of the group, so everybody's in front of me, so I saw this, and it said Isabel, and I looked at it, and nothing, it didn't strike me as strange. It didn't freak me out or anything. The first thing I thought of was, which one of you guys did this?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, who did this? Did one of you guys do this? And then everybody came back to look to see what I was talking about, and it clear as day. And even the Isabel, there was even some little a heart or something,
The
part
E,
of the signature.
And the E was weird.
We ended up.
Sorry, I keep bumping into you.
I don't think we ever actually got a picture of that, because we didn't have anything, with us.
you.
Not in the snow, but the other ones where the E looked like.
Okay, so when they went back with the
It was
camera,
in the window.
Then it was
then
inside
it was
the window.
inside the window, written in the dust.
It wasn't even in the dust. It looks
From the
like
inside.
white paint.
White paint. Okay, so the very first incident there was that moment. There was a group of us, and I was in the back, and I saw that, and I could still see it very clearly. You know, it was on the windowsill in the snow, the way you would write in the snow. And everybody came back, and they were like, "No, we didn't do that. No, none of us did that." And we were all just kind of like, "Okay, let's go." And so we left, and then we were talking about that, and then like, of course, like Era was like, she had felt some kind of connection to this. To
The funniest thing about this is back then it was like, okay, we're done, we're out of here. Now we'd be like, all right, let's talk, lady. All right, Isabel, what you doing, girl?
Speak to us.
Right, it wouldn't scare you.
Yeah, right now
otherwise.
we wouldn't be scared.
Yeah,
no.
it'd be like, oh, there's something here that needs to be addressed.
So
Yeah.
that's a really good point, because this is something that I've spoken about sometimes things that are terrifying aren't. And what has changed that's changed your perspective on that?
I think just many experiences, and also, I think, I don't know, maybe just...
I know for me, I have always had abilities. I've always sensed stuff, saw stuff, felt stuff, heard stuff. But as a kid, in my family, we didn't really talk about it. My family calls it wiki, and they all have, like, my grandma was probably one of the most like intuitive people I know, but she was scared of it, and she thought it was evil, and like it wasn't something we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really ever taught that, and so once I started tuning into it and understanding it, and then started recognizing it, and then being like, oh, this is bad, or this is good, or and being able to recognize which things were dangerous and what things were just needed help,
being more familiar with it.
Yeah
I feel like it's been normalized at this point for me in my life. Like, there were times there have been things that have happened that scared the crap out of me, like the thing on the porch at Manabear, and when I really did kind of like lean on TI to like put a bubble around us and stuff. But honestly, I mean, I think that 2 summers ago, after reading the manuscript of your book and realizing that these stories that from your house growing up that had absolutely terrified me like through my whole life, suddenly those scary stories were somebody who lived and their tragic story.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the realization that that there are entities that exist that need to tell a story. And it was also, I mean, just that it's it's like you used to be scared of strangers, until you realize that you can learn how to talk to a stranger. It's that you can grow up and feel safe talking to a stranger. It's that kind of thing where it's just like suddenly it's just part of nature, and it's not anything that's strange anymore or scary or a novelty.
The realization that they are just the souls of people.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like once you realize your power and know that you have as much of a foothold as that energy does, and even though you can feel them, you still have power to protect yourself and those around you. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to challenge anybody right now, but I haven't been scared of a ghost or a spirit since I was like little. Like, I don't get scared by it anymore. It doesn't scare me.
Me neither. Startled. You could be startled.
Or surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprised.
But not scared because it's somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or something that exists in nature.
Right.
That us in the physical plane has some kind of, we have, like you said, foothold. I like that word.
Mm-hmm.
A foothold on it. But yeah, I don't, and too, like I get to tell my kids too, like Leela and Verge, if they say they're scared of something, I can be like, you don't need to be scared of it. You have power, you have power.
We're going through that right now, actually. We've went through a really long time, which doesn't happen in my house very often, but we're going through a really long time of just things being quiet and not really having much spiritual activity in my house. And my house is usually busy. But this last year, it's actually been super calm. And just the last couple months, the kids have been talking, and both Avery and Gillian are both talking about the noises they hear in their bedroom. Gillian almost every night is getting up and coming in my room because she hears...
She's woken up.
She hears whispers, and she hears shuffling and walking, and she's definitely
picking up some stuff.
Yeah, she's picking up stuff. And then Avery said the same thing. I said, why do you... Because he started sleeping with a face mask on his face, like a sleep mask.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand. You sleep with a face mask because you want it to be dark, but you leave your closet light on.
Mm-mm.
And he's like, well, I leave my closet light on because if I don't, then I wake up in the middle of the night and it's on anyway. And if it's off, then I hear a lot of really weird noises. And I'm like,
oh, dang.
all right.
Well, he's found a very workable solution.
Yeah.
Is Avery's room the back
The
one?
nanny's room.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the nanny's room at the end of the hall.
The far back room.
Yeah.
So, let's segue any more from the state hospital. Otherwise, I want you to talk about the lodge because you guys have had some really crazy stuff happen
Yeah.
when you were out ghost hunting at the lodge.
Not really.
And this is.
I think the most tangible things that I ever experienced there was that one time. Like, everybody talked about how terrifying that place was, and I honestly never felt it. I don't know why. I went in there and it never creeped me out. What creeped me out was the stories. What creeped me out was like the images of the stories that I'd heard, but I never felt uncomfortable in there.
You also never slept there.
I never slept there. I went to the bathroom in the log bathroom many times, and it was always bright outside, and I was never freaked out. And in fact, even to that point of like playing a spooky prank on like my younger cousins, like crawling up the window and like doing a spooky voice. Like I honestly never felt anything there. I wonder if it's just because my guides were all like,
Yeah, you were super protected.
Yeah.
I've only been on the property once.
yeah.
One
And that
time.
one time when you were there was when all that crazy stuff happened.
All right, so tell the story.
So the lodge, I know that you've told lots of lodge stories.
Tell your
right?
story.
So, like I said, we grew up in this living room hearing stories. And so we would come home and, I remember like after plays,
Oh, yeah, or choir
Footlighters
concerts.
And
Yeah.
we'd come back here and we'd beg T.I.
Yeah,
to tell
she would
us
tell
her
us the
stories.
Pensacola story. She would tell us the stories about her haunted childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
And the lodge.
With like 11 and 12 kids piled in here, all clutching each other in terror.
Like
Yeah.
I said, I don't like frightened children, but teenagers I like to scare.
It was so fun.
So I know that I remember hearing the lodge stories like probably 15 or 20 times before I actually saw the lodge. So I had the vision in my head of what it would look like. And when we actually went up north, and we were staying at Granny's cottage, and we were in all of that, and we were like, okay, we gotta go, like let's go.
We're so close.
And at that point, Ezra and Era and us, we all had all these theories and conspiracies and
wild, very far-reaching, not
Yeah.
rooted in reality theories.
Very much so.
A murder mystery.
Yeah.
It was definitely a murder mystery. And so
It was a
It
murder
was,
mystery.
yeah, but I mean, not what we were theorizing.
it was a little tiny bit of maybe truth with 900 like conspiracies added on top of it. So we went, and it was in the middle of the day, and it was a group of us, and it was you and Zach, Ezra, Aaron Decker,
Yep.
Tina.
Yep.
You
You and I and Ezra you and Ezra had come with me on the tour before, and we had traveled up. We made our way up to Wascott, and then Tina and Aaron came with Era and Zach.
And Aaron and Zach, yeah.
Yeah. And so they had met us, and it was over the 4th of July weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's why we were all there.
We drove down the dirt road, and when we got to the end of the dirt road, by this point, your family didn't own it anymore. It had just been sold or something, and so we got up to the thing, and obviously from the state hospital stories, you know that we're not going to pay attention to anything,
A gate.
any barriers.
Yeah. So
or
they had
signs.
one of those metal
It was like a
swing
cattle
gates.
gate.
Yeah, and then it was locked, so you couldn't open it.
It was
We're
a chain.
Yeah, and we're like,
But you had to drive.
We,
so
jump
the
over
sand
it.
road, we didn't know that there was the gate there though, because the sand road from the main road is like a mile long.
Yeah.
And so we drove all the way down to it, and then just as you are entering the property drive area is where the gate was. So we were like, well, crap, and I remember pulling up to the gate and then being like,
and we're like,
let's go. I think that my
anyway.
brother Zach was the first one to actually climb over it and be like, come on, let's go.
Well, you could just walk around it too. You could walk around the sides of it.
I don't
No,
feel like
it was
you could.
there
No.
was
There was something that
brush
stopped us.
or a fence
Oh,
or
okay.
something.
Yeah, no, believe me. I had a
Jerrilynn would have gone around it.
Yeah, I had a long
Denim
jean
skirt.
that
It was like a pencil skirt that went down your ankles.
So your ankles
yeah, and she could only take steps that were this far apart at a time.
yeah. No, I would have definitely went around if I could have not had to hop over top of that thing. And
I remember.
let's face
Oh my
it,
god, I remember what you
anybody
said.
who knows me or sees me in person, if you can imagine me hopping over anything, no, it's not happening.
And how did you end up getting over there? You just
I
shimmied.
probably pulled my skirt up and
Okay,
over.
so
on the way back and had time for that business. But
I know.
On the way there,
I'm gonna
got
wait, but I
depressed.
remember clearly what you said at the
So
end when we were
anyway,
trying to run away.
So-
Okay, but take it from where you're walking.
I'm gonna wait
So
to
we're
tell that
walking in. We jump over the thing. We're like, we're going, and so past that, there was still a little ways to go before you actually got to the cottage, and
It wasn't a cottage. It was
cottage,
this
massive whatever
log
Yeah.
behemoth.
Lodge.
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 Yeah, lodge.
Giant hunting lodge.
And so when we walked in and you kind of walk in and then you walk around the corner and then the lodge is right there.
Yeah, so I bet you from the gate to where the clearing where the house was probably 100 yards.
Yeah.
I bet.
And Era and Ezra were the first ones. They were the ones that were kind of leading everybody in it. Was Era with us or was it just Ezra?
I think Era was there too.
I feel like Era was with us.
I think
remember,
our whole
though.
crew was there.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I'm sure that she probably was. And I know you were not with me at that point either. You were kind of up towards the front.
Yeah.
Zach and I were
in the back.
We don't know about this business. We're gonna go ahead and stand
That's
back here
right.
and we're gonna watch. And both of us were like every time we heard or felt or saw anything, we were like,
Something was wrong.
okay, there's no there. And I remember Zach looking at me and being like, I feel like there is 100 people watching me right now. And I was like, I do too.
Ugh.
I feel like there is eyes everywhere. And I'm getting goosebumps telling it. And I just
'Cause they're
remember that feeling. I remember that feeling of
As you were walking probably past where the graves were.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was in that stretch between the gate and where the clearing was. It was just right there on the right. And it was
Yeah.
probably
But it wasn't.
200
It was
feet back.
also once we got up to the lodge. Once we were in the yard of the lodge, it got more intense. Almost like it was hey, they're here.
yeah.
There's somebody here, guys. Hey, guys, there's someone here.
I did feel that
Are we
time.
gonna be are they coming to attack us or are they here to talk?
No,
we need something.
I definitely remember feeling that too. From the windows, it was this energy just coming out. That was
Hey,
who is it?
ooh, who's here?
Somebody's here.
Hey, guys, there's someone here. Look.
That's
look,
exactly
there's
what it
someone
felt
here.
like.
Yeah, and then there was also a presence on top of that, don't you dare. No, you keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything to them. They're not here to talk to you. There was that presence of hey, yeah, there's someone to play with. Ooh, there's someone here. And then there was that, it was that authority figure on top of it that was no, don't step out of line. And so when we went in, and and of course we're trying to look in windows, and we're like looking around and stuff. And I remember we walked in and walked around the building.
Yeah.
And then we went
The
down.
log side.
Yep. And then
We went around the back.
Yep. And then we went down, and we went down by the lake and the sheds and stuff, and down the steps.
What about
and
before you got there in the sand?
that was after.
That was the
Okay.
end.
And so
Let us tell the story.
Okay.
yeah, no, that was the end. And so again, Zach and I are in the back, and we're just watching everybody, and like it was almost like we were
I remember seeing a light on in there.
yep, there was. Yeah, there was.
There was a lamp that was on.
Yep.
And it was like it was one of the lamps that
There
that
was
was
a
in there
light
from
on.
Kevin and Beth. It was like a lamp that was in Annie and Bob's house when we were growing up. That has like it was the lantern with the candle in the middle, and then the big thing on the top, and the candle in the middle was on.
It was on the way down to the lake. It was off on the way back.
Okay,
from
that's
the
right.
lake.
It was on the way out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on before.
Yeah,
that's right.
So, opposite. It was on
Oh, yeah.
when we walked by it, and when we came back up. So when we walked down the stairs and we walked in the lake, because we always had the stories of the lake and stuff, and like I said, Zach and I were kind of in back, kind of watching everybody, and it was almost like I knew that I wanted to see what this place looked like because I'd always heard the stories, but then once I got there, I was like super focused attention, there's something going on here. And so I know that I was almost watching, I was watching the whole group.
Yeah.
And I know, and Zach was too. And when we came back up, Zach looked at me and he said, and I said, yup. And he's like, that light is
off.
is
now.
off. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, that was on when we walked by. And he's like, yep. I'm like, no, it wasn't.
I remember seeing
it was
on.
probably just a reflection. We didn't see the light wasn't off. It was just probably a
So
reflection.
it was like a candle with a candle light bulb that
Yeah.
had a
And
little
we didn't
orange filament, and it
realize-
looked like it was flickering.
Yep.
So it was
And
obviously on.
we didn't realize that until we got back and talked to other people who saw it too.
Yeah.
At that time, we were like, oh no, we just saw something.
I remember seeing it on.
Yeah. So then when we walked back and we started walking around and we got to the front of the building, the shutters that were previously closed were all open. And so the whole front of the house that had looked like it was being closed for the
Closed
winter was all open.
All
wide
of the
up.
shades on the facade of the house were open.
All open. Every single one.
Mhm. And when we walked up there, they were all closed, like it was closed up.
Closed for the winter.
Like it was
Closed for because nobody
Because
lived
nobody
there.
was there. Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I think I remember the group of people like Aaron and Tina and Era and maybe Ez, maybe not Ez because he was really little at that time.
No,
younger.
No, Ez was with us.
He was okay.
Yeah.
I guess he was 13. That was the mullet.
Yeah.
Water.
That was the.
No, I'm good.
Are you really interrupting me right
Sorry.
now? And that was that was the mullet summer.
Mm-hmm. He was young, but he was definitely there.
Okay, and what I remember is that group of people walking out, kind of laughing and talking to themselves, really carefree.
Well, yeah, but the reason we left is because we said those shutters are open.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, they were open when we got here, and Zach and I were like,
No, they
they
weren't.
were not. They were not. And then I think it was you said afterwards, like, no, we need to.
I remember saying it's time to go, you
Yeah,
guys.
it's time to go.
I was the one that said it's time to go.
Yeah, it's time to go.
And then
so
everybody's
all those
walking.
people,
They
all
were
those
way
people,
ahead.
Yep, all those people were just like laughing and talking and
Yeah.
whatever. Like, ooh, that was a cool place to see. All of us that were in the back were like, what the.
You and I,
This
you
is
and
not-
I and Zach were the last ones out, and you and I are walking next to each other on the sand road before you got to the gate. And Zach
was behind us.
was like 20 feet behind us.
Yep.
And we were just walking. It was a warm, sunny day, and the road is sand, and like really fine sand. And we were just talking to each other and saying, man, that was weird, or whatever. Like,
so crazy.
yeah, that was
weird.
crazy. And Zach goes, there's something drawn in the sand here, and
There's an arrow. What's this arrow for?
yeah, and so we went back and we looked at it, and it looked like somebody had drawn an arrow in the sand with a finger pointing out, like the way that we were headed.
And it was on top of my footprint.
That was not. That was the first time it wasn't.
I thought
Because-
both times they were.
No, the first time it wasn't because we were like, huh, that's weird, and we thought that maybe it was them,
Right.
the people in
Oh,
front.
yeah. Mhm.
Remember?
Mhm.
And then you and I.
So we're like, We're like, yeah, right, Zach. Like, he probably did
We're like,
that.
oh, that's weird. And then
Like,
we kept walking.
It means get out.
I
Like,
did think that he did it.
Yeah.
That's who I thought
Yeah.
did it. And I
So-
thought, you're playing a joke on
Yeah,
us.
so he's like, no, I swear. Like, I really didn't. And so Rachael, like, looks at me on the corner of her eye and she goes, watch the sand. And I was like, she's like,
I said, watch the
she's
ground.
like, you watch the ground and I'm going to watch him. And I was like,
Yeah,
all right,
and I
sure.
said, and if he says he sees another one, let's get the hell out of here.
Yep.
And so we're walking and watching
Because
the
we
ground.
thought maybe, like, the people in front of us did it. Like, you and I were questioning everything at that point because we were already, like, on edge. But at that point, we were like, okay, either the people who are not taking it serious and, like, feel absolutely nothing that are in front of us joking and laughing did it to scare us.
Yeah.
Or Zach did it
Or Zach
trying
did
to
it.
scare
He's
us.
trying to scare us.
Yeah.
Because that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And then you and
I thought
I
it
were
was
like
people in
very
front of us.
quietly so Zach couldn't hear it. And we were like,
Mhm.
okay, you watch the ground and I'll keep an eye on the peripheral vision. And it was really quiet. And I was like, if he says he sees another one, okay, let's check it out. And then, and right at that moment, he goes, there's another one. And that's when we went back. And
Yeah.
that's when the arrow was drawn inside Jerrilynn's footprint that she had just made like 5 steps earlier. And we looked at each other and we were like,
all three of us
and
looked
we
at each
got
other
this
and
look-
we're like,
and Zach like took off like Forrest Gump.
it was so funny.
And
Like,
he was
threw us, like, almost like knocked us
did
out of the
come
way.
between-
And he's like,
wait, you know what he
Get
did?
out!
He went like this. He went and then he started running and he totally like brushed by us and I started running and then you had that damn skirt on.
I'm like, I can't run fast. Sure, leave the fat girl behind.
That's what she said. You're like, sure, leave the fat girl behind. You're like, this
To
is so
get eaten
typical.
by the ghost.
Of course, the fat girl's gonna get eaten by the ghosts. And we're like climbing over the fence. And I remember Jerrilynn with her skirt, like trying to get over the fence. And we like get in the car. And everybody's laughing, and we're just like, ah! And I cannot remember who was driving. I think maybe Zach was driving.
I have no idea.
I don't remember who was driving. Maybe it was Tina or somebody.
It was
just gonna
probably
say
Tina.
Tina.
It was probably Tina because
Yeah.
all I remember it was like
It was
a
Tina's
it was like a
car. You guys
movie.
took Tina's
It was
car.
like
That's true.
It was like
We were like, get out of here! We have to get out of here!
like
And they were like,
fishtailing in
what?
the dirt.
What's wrong? What? And we're just
Get out! Get
And
out!
so she did like a 3-point turn, like, and like the bank of the road is like
Because she
a
had that
brush.
little Honda.
Yeah, the Civic, and she like had to back up, and like the car like went like this, and then she like
We're
went
like, don't
out.
get stuck! Don't get stuck!
She was like, "What is going on, you guys? What?" And then finally, you were like, when we were on the main road, you were able to say what happened, and then, I mean, that wasn't it. Like later on, like something followed us.
Well, come to find out, we didn't know at the time what that actually meant, but we did find out later. And I don't know if it was you that told us or if Era was reading something and found it or what it was, but it's actually a hoodoo practice that if you draw an arrow in somebody's footprint, you have a direct contact to them.
Mhm.
So it's creating a cord.
Mhm.
And
And it's like out.
yeah, and that was when we were figuring
I'm
out
coming with.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't remember if we knew this after or before, but we knew that guy tried to soul jump into his wife or girlfriend or whatever, his
wife's
pregnant wife. or,
his baby.
yeah,
on
yeah,
that property.
like right on the other side of where all this happened.
Right.
So,
Maybe
and they're
like-
hoodoo people.
Maybe like 200 feet away from that spot.
So of course, then we're like, oh, shit, they have like direct contact to me.
Yeah.
You
It
know.
was very uncomfortable. Like the air was like
It's crazy.
the whole rest of the day and night.
So that night we were back and we were of course talking about it, and we were all in the screened-in porch at Granny's house. And I think we had just got done with dinner or something, and we, it was dark out, and we were still talking. And you've got some of the people who are just like, not really talking about it anymore. But of course, this little corner of Era, me, you, and Ezra were
Yeah.
like still talking about stuff. And well, we saw the light on. Did you see the light on? Yeah, we saw the light on. Did you see blah blah blah? Did you and like just kind of like going over like the events and like what happened.
trying
And
to coordinate with Zach
Right,
too about what exactly the timing. Like,
yeah.
what was the timing?
Because we had talked ourselves out of it while we were there. Like, oh no, that light wasn't on, but it was. And then someone else saw it, and
that was undeniable.
Yeah.
That was like
was when we were like,
were
we
the
gotta get
upstairs
out of
windows open at all?
No, just the shades.
Just the shades.
There were
Okay.
no actual open windows.
Okay.
But that was when it was like, all right, it's time to go. Let's get out of here.
So anyway, we're in the screened-in porch, and you know how you hear stuff like in the woods and stuff, and we were just kind of really heightened, like we could hear and see everything that was going on.
The
like
woods behind Granny's house has been creepy my entire life.
Yeah.
It's like when you go outside at nighttime and walk to the campfire, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
Till this year.
Yeah, it hasn't been like that for a couple years.
So anyway, and then at one point, you guys all went into the kitchen, and you guys are all in the kitchen except for Ezra and I. And Ezra and I were sitting at the table still like trying to figure out like how to solve this puzzle and how to like free these spirits and how to like figure out the mystery. Like if we figured out like the mystery of it, then maybe it would lose its power and like would be able to go. That we had this idea that there was something that was just like bonding these spirits there, and like that there was some conspiracy still going on with people who are living, that
the reason why
something had to happen.
You know why?
Because there was.
Yeah,
because there was. And so Ezra and I are like leaning in and we're talking and we're like, okay, well, this is what I think, this, and this. And he'd be like, yeah, this is what I think. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I don't know, but it's got to stop. And like, as soon as he said that, behind us, I got goosebumps again. Behind us was this old-fashioned Jack-in-the-Box.
Yeah, like tin.
This tin
Cracked
Jack-in-the-Box.
From the 70s?
Yeah,
It doesn't even
Granny's
work.
house.
I mean, I don't even think it worked.
The crank doesn't work.
Yeah, the crank didn't work. All of a sudden, when he said that, like they've got to be stopped. That freaking box, boom, popped open. It made this noise and started bouncing at us. And Ezra and I looked at each other and we were like, I mean, no, but it might as well have.
Oh my god!
Although I'm gonna tell you something, we weren't there long enough to see if it would.
Right.
As soon as that went there, Ezra and I looked at each other and we're like, like we bounced up and like I'm telling you, I don't think either of us have moved so fast. We moved in kitchen and we're like there like.
Yeah, you guys came in the kitchen and you were like, Ezra was like, the Jack-in-the-Box, and that's all he could say, and we were like, what is going on? We were just snacking. The Jack-in-the-Box, you guys don't go out there. Just don't go out there, you guys.
We're gonna stay in here now. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna stay right here.
I don't even after that. Like, I mean, during the time that my uncle owned the lodge and they were staying there, and like there was just this like there was definitely a cord, some kind of energetic connection between that place and Granny's house.
I felt the energy of that moment for years, because at that point I didn't understand cords.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how to get rid of them. I didn't understand, you know, that you had that ability to cut cords and release them. And actually, my grandma was the one that told me, because she was telling a story about her great grandmother, and who I've felt my whole life. And she was a Native American, like medicine woman who lived in the foothills of Kentucky, of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And she learned it from her and learned how to sever cords. And she called them silver cords, and crap, I can't remember. I'll have to ask my Aunt Kathy because she knows. But and she actually explained it to me, and then I talked with you, and you explained with it even more. And then, like, just with learning, you know, with experience, knowing, you know, when you break those energy bonds and you break those cords and you, like, cut those and push them away, you actually have to heal that spot back, too. Otherwise, they're going to just reconnect. Right. And so, I mean, it took years before that cord was severed, but...
Really? The one that attached to you that day?
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap. Ew. It was always like creep, like at Granny's house. Cause okay, so like the screen porch is like, it's huge screen porch, and there's like a common area with a table and a bunch of chairs and like a sitting area, and then there's beds that are for sleeping. There's like four queen beds on the porch, but it's just screen, you know. And at nighttime, when you're sitting at the table and the light, there's a lamp, like a game lamp, you know, over the table, and when you're sitting under that light, you know, like if you're driving up the driveway, you can see everybody who's sitting at the table. If you're standing 10 feet away on the outside, you can see straight in there and no one can see you. No one inside can see you. So there's always this like really kind of creepy feeling on the outside of the screen, like on the outside at nighttime, knowing that what's out there can see in, but we can't see out. And it felt like that my entire life. It always felt like that. And during the time of the lodge, it was always just palpable. I mean, it had texture almost. And people were really on edge. And because like your family, you know, the shippers are mostly really sensitive. Whether they, you know it or not. Yeah, or they how they recognize it. But you know,
it's like my dad. My dad will not admit that he has any abilities at all, but you know dang well he does.
He's got strong intuition.
He refuses to stay at my house. He will not. He stayed the night one time in Avery's room, which is hilarious, and I put him in the haunted nanny's room, and I mean seriously, we have family gatherings at my house, and he'll stay on the porch.
He will?
Yeah.
He'll sleep on the porch at your house?
He doesn't sleep there, but like if
he'll
we're
just hang out.
barbecuing and stuff, like he'll go out and sit out on the patio furniture and wait for everyone to come and talk to him.
But he won't go in.
He spends as little time inside my house as possible.
He won't go in the house.
That makes me so sad that people who have that part of their brain still functioning and are afraid of it or try to deny it. That I hope that someday we can recognize that is just a sense like any other sense, and like Rachel said, to not be afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
So we don't have a whole lot of time. Do you guys want to talk about the death house now?
Yeah, I think we could. You know, we can go a little bit over.
Yeah, we can go a little.
Think?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. People can leave if they're bored.
Yeah, if you're bored, you don't have to stay and watch. But we're going to tell the story of the death house.
The death house. All right. Go ahead.
We are kind of boring people, so we totally understand
boring.
if you want to get.
Go ahead.
You know, when I was a toddler, how Bunch or T.I. would keep me occupied was they would put a mirror in front of me and let me make faces in the mirror, and that would entertain me for a long time. Now, in this new digital age of virtual stuff, having a screen where I can see myself is like the equivalent of sitting in front of a mirror and making faces.
All right, tell your damn story.
You guys knew what you were getting.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe they didn't, but she did.
They did too.
You've already heard my take on this experience, but it was these two. I was in a side room hearing what was going on and then coming in afterwards, but it was these two who really got the full.
We were in the room.
It happened to us. It happened to them. So tell what happened.
Okay, so when we were, how old were we? 19. Okay.
19,
we were 19.
Yeah, 19.
And we were going to go on an adventure together, and we were going to move to Boston. And so my mom took us out, me and Jerrilynn and my sister out there. And we were looking at apartments, and we were looking for a place to live because we were going to move out there. And my mom's aunt, Lori, lived in Cape Cod in Chatham, that's on the elbow of the Cape. It's a fishing community, but she was renting a house like at the end of this really like small road. You know, it's New England, it's Cape Cod. You know what it looks like. And we had been driving all day. It was like 1,000 hours or something like that. And we got there late at night. It might not have been that late. Maybe like 10 o'clock or something.
It was dark.
It was pretty late.
It was dark.
It
yeah.
was dark and
maybe
it was
like
and we were exhausted.
We were so exhausted. And then we pull up, and the name of the road that the house is on is called Battlefield Lane, and it was at the house at the very end. And there was this like,
I think we didn't notice that till the next day when we were leaving.
we did notice because
was
we had
really
to find
dark.
the
We had
address.
to find the address.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And we knew it then. We're like, oh, Battlefield Lane, sweet. And then we pull up, and this house, like, look, and it's white on the outside. Was it white on the outside?
All
I
I
don't
remember is
remember.
dark. I don't remember.
It
I
looked
don't remember.
from
what.
the outside.
I just remember
It definitely
shadows.
looked old. It's shadow headlights. That's what I remember. It definitely looked like an old colonial house. And then we parked on the side of the house, and then we went in the back. There was a deck and then a sliding porch. And we go in, and the lighting's really nice. The walls are white. The carpet is white.
It was remodeled.
It was really
and-
remodeled, and but I did notice the fireplace was so old. It was like a coal fireplace that's like shallow, and it like was really shallow, and it just looked really old.
Mhm.
Even with the floor.
Yeah.
And big, not coal. It was a that was used to heat the house. And what Lori said was that was the original part of the house.
Yeah,
And it was like almost 200 years old.
yeah. It was maybe even more than 200 years. It was like it was built in colonial times, and I remember sitting in the front room and like chatting with Lori for a little while, and it was like the front room was right off of the patio, and there was
Like
a fireplace.
politely talking, like, let's get to bed, though.
Yeah,
And she
we
had
were
pie.
so tired. Oh,
She had
yeah,
pie.
she had pie. And the kitchen was right off of the sitting room, and then off to the side was like her bedroom, and so like there was like this doorway, and then there was stairs that went up, and then there was like
Super steep stairs.
really steep stairs, and then there was like a hallway that was just it was a corridor basically. So it was like there was like this 4x4 square that was the stair landing, and then to the left was a little step up and a teeny tiny bedroom, and to the right were like 2 steps up to this huge room under the eaves that still had the original floor, wide wooden slots, and
The attic room.
and we didn't know what it was, but when we walked in there, it was this huge room, and so like you walk up the stairs and you stand on the landing and you turn to the left, you walk up 2 stairs, and it was bright, like the
It was
light
bright. It
was
was
nice
nice.
in there, and there were windows, so there was like a twin bed to the right and then a double bed to the left against windows on either side of the room, and then straight ahead was like so where the main part of the room like had eaves like this, like it was higher.
Yeah, so it looked like a normal attic room. So it was like here, and then it was like
Yeah, and you could tell that the ceiling was
it was
the
like
roof.
the sloped.
Yeah,
sloped
of the
ceiling.
roof, and then in front there was a window that went out that way, but there was a dresser there, and like a huge vanity
rocking
mirror that was covering almost the whole window, and a mirror that was like facing the doorway, and then a rocking chair. It was like a sitting room and a cool old rug, and then a rocking chair that was like off
So
to the right.
basically, a mirror put in the worst possible place that it should have been.
In front of a window facing the
facing
door.
the door.
Facing the door.
Yeah.
Choo 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 choo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Energy.
And so we
Like
were
right
just,
in the middle of our beds.
we were just really tired,
Oh
and
my God. It was raining.
yeah, that's right. It was raining, and I picked the twin bed on the right, and Jerrilynn picked the double bed on the left, and next to the double bed.
We'll go ahead and say that Rachel and I don't sleep in the same bed because I wake her up.
Yeah, and you don't like snuggling.
No, I'm not a
And
snuggler.
and next to Jerrylynn's bed, there was like built-in cupboards that were in the wall. So like you're laying in the bed and the door was right here. So it's like when you walk up the stairs, immediately to the left was a wall, and there were built-in cupboards and like drawers there. And then on my side of the room where I picked, there was just like a little door with a little knob and a little like hook and eye latch. So it was like
crawl space.
yeah, like a little crawl space.
Yeah.
And also windows ahead of us. So so this is what I remember happening. I remember setting my stuff down and being so tired. You know when you're so tired and you're just like, "Meh," and you fall asleep really hard. And I remember waking up. No, okay. let me see if I can describe this. I remember hearing
Mm-hmm.
in a very like mostly asleep state something like rodents.
I didn't hear that.
And this was coming from the crawl space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I heard almost maybe like the door was rattling or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was raining and we were near the water. Okay. So, but that was like what I remember faintly. And then what I remember woke me up was this overwhelming smell.
No, that was the second night.
Was it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
the first night you heard those noises, and,
Okay,
and
that's
we
right.
heard I heard footprint or footsteps, and we thought it was these two just like getting ready for bed and like whatever. You were out at that point.
Okay.
You had fallen asleep, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I remember them like their footprints or footsteps waking you up and being like, "What are they doing?
What's going on?
Like why
It
are
sounded
they
like they
not
were going up and down the
sleeping?"
stairs. It sounded like I thought it was my sister because it sounded like quick,
Mm-hmm.
light
I can't go
steps.
quick up and down the stairs.
It sounded like a quick
Yeah.
movement. And it sounded like she was going up and down the
There
stairs.
wasn't a whole bunch of that the first night, though. You're thinking the second night.
Oh,
the
that's
second
right.
night is when that was. The first night, it was just a little bit. It was just like, it was enough to where we were like, oh my gosh, settle in already. Like, we've been in the car for 9,000 hours. Let's just go to sleep. And
Yeah.
so we ended up falling asleep and nothing really happened. And so the next morning, we were like, seriously, you guys, like, I can't believe you guys stayed up so late. We were out and sitting there like, well, we
We went to
doing
sleep
that.
right away. We're like,
Yeah,
whatever. Like maybe you
and we
just
didn't
weren't
really
looking at the
think
clock.
at that point. We weren't like spooked out by it or anything. We just were like, okay, whatever. But it was spooky enough that the next day when we were in the room, you and I were doing everything we could to stay awake and have radio going, and like we had like a radio or something we were listening to cover up the noises of their footprints and them
Yes.
saying, oh, it's not our footprints, and we're like,
Okay,
so by the time we were kind of spooked.
that was after like the second night. I remember. Okay, so
we went out
Yeah.
the next morning. We drove to Boston.
yeah, we looked at a bunch of
We
apartments.
had breakfast, looked at a bunch of apartments.
There's the one super creepy apartment. Remember?
Yeah, they brought me along because they wanted
Yeah.
me to go in and make sure that the apartments weren't dangerous.
That
and
one
spooky.
that was like
Ooh, under the
flamingo,
stairs.
With
like
the pink
flamingo
bathtub.
pink
Mm-hmm.
in black tile and the pink bathtub.
Yeah, the pink bathtub that had like all the mouse carcasses in it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
so
it was
gross.
pretty nasty.
was
Anyway,
so
get
gross.
back to the death house.
Oh, okay. So that day, so we went and looked at apartments. Oh, and the realtor that we had. Remember what happened with him, where he had forgotten his pills and he had the heart attack. Remember, he had the heart thing,
Right.
and it was like this emergency that day. So there's a little bit of excitement.
I
But,
have no recollection.
You don't?
I
I
don't
remember
remember
that.
at all.
He had to like call somebody to bring it to him or something.
He needed his nitroglycerin.
Yeah, that's right. And so okay, so the second night, so again, we're really tired.
Mhm.
And I don't remember. I feel like we had like a fun dinner or something, but I remember being really tired. Okay. And so my experience the second night was falling asleep and being woken up by this extremely powerful scent of peaches.
And peaches. Yep.
Like peach perfume. Or
yeah.
I mean it wasn't like actual peach fruit or anything. It was like peach scent, and it was so thick that it woke me up. And I remember being like, what the hell? And like smelling my pillow, like, is it the detergent? Like, was
And I
it
don't
the
think
soap?
I was asleep yet. I think I was still in bed, like kind of awake.
I don't remember exactly at that point what you were doing, but
because I remember you saying something and waking up.
Okay, so I'm searching for the smell, and then in an instant, it changed.
Yep.
To the smell of like roadkill.
Of death.
An instant, it smelled like poop. You know, like what a
Like
dead
death.
deer
Like
smells
death
like
and decay.
on the side of the road. And I was under the in front of the window that was right next to the like directly under my window was the patio, and Aunt Lori had a dog, Luther. Remember, he had black lab. And so where my brain went right away was that like there was something dead outside, and I was smelling that, and that's what I was thinking. And I asked you, I said, Jerrilynn, do you smell that? And you were like, no, what? I think I was like, did you fart?
Yeah, you did. You did. You blamed me for it, yeah. And I was like, no.
What is that smell? Do you smell that? And
It smelled
then
like cheese.
and then in like a few minutes it was just gone again as soon as it was there. And I think at that point the lights were still off. There was a night light. There was like this nighttime light that was on. And I think, was that the night that, okay.
Because we were only there 2 nights.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So.
No, we were there 3 nights. We were there 3 nights because we had one more night after this.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And that was the night that we had the radio on.
Yeah, that was the radio night.
Okay. So I'm like, and then in an instant it was gone. And then I remember after that point, being in my bed and hearing Jerrilynn going like this. And I was like, are you okay? What's going on? Are you okay? And she's like, I can't breathe. And she was like struggling to breathe. And I remember getting up and turning the light on next to her bed. And your face was like beet red. And you were like, I can't move. I can't move. And you were like, I can't breathe. I can't move. And I was so freaking scared. And
At first I couldn't talk, I think. I think
you
it
couldn't.
was just the noise.
Because
and then...
what you were saying, you were like, like that. That's what it sounded like. And I remember being like, Mom!
Yeah. And then it was like, boom, out.
And T.I. came in there like this.
Yeah.
She was like, what?
I
mean, I swear, like, I hadn't taken a breath.
The entire freaking time.
I didn't take, from the time
Standing
I said Mom,
guard
I was
the
like,
whole
I was like, Mom! And she was like, right there. I mean, whoop! Like she was ready to come in. And the minute that you came in, you could breathe. Your color came back.
I was like released.
Yep. And you were like, that was so weird. You were like, I felt like something was on top of me, is what you said.
Yeah. So when I was getting ready to go to sleep, like you were talking, like I was laying there, and I just remember laying on my side, looking towards that mirror, and like there was the mirror, and then there was a rocking chair right here, and I just remember like you know when you go to sleep and it's like you don't really want to close your eyes because you don't want to take your eyes off of that point, like because you knew it was just something not right about it. And I remember you talking about that or saying something about the smell, and when you were saying that, I remember the rocking chair actually was like kind of swaying, and it wasn't swaying like enough to be like, hey, that rocking chair's moving, but it was barely. It was like enough that it was like just enough. And so I remember I was already kind of like spooked out about it, but like you started talking about the smell or whatever, and I'm like,
smell
what the
that?
hell?
Did you fart?
And I all of a sudden I felt this presence like up on top of me, and it started at my feet, and it was like feet, and then it was like it was sitting on me, and I remember I felt the pressure on my feet and my calves and my knees, and I stood, like tried to sit up, and as I sat up, it knocked me down. So it was like someone, like if you can imagine somebody trying to like step into somebody, it was exactly that. It was like they put their feet on me and then settled down and then went whoa and like landed on me. And I remember it just like knocked me back, and like I literally was paralyzed. I could not move. Like could not move. I couldn't breathe. I could not. And I don't even remember actually being able to talk to you. I just remember just laying there like.
And this was
like not being able to move.
This was not sleep paralysis because she had been awake.
You were awake.
Yeah, I was awake. Yeah.
Give me my flask.
And I heard because I asked you if you could smell that stuff, and then I remember a moment later hearing you making the gasping sounds, and then going over to check on you, and you were like, you had this look on your face, and your face was all red, and you were like, I can't move. And then, like, you did have air come out, and you said, I can't move. And that's when I was like, Mom! And then when you came in the room, it was gone. And
yeah,
then,
and it was like instantly like I could like breathe and like yeah,
that was very scary.
because it was like what it would feel like if I mean that's what happened. I mean that's I 100% believe that someone was like actually
Trying to.
take my body like
Yeah.
lay on like whatever it was laying on top of me. So if you can imagine like a person laying on top of you and like
Trying to slip in.
yeah,
slip
like you
in.
couldn't I couldn't like
Yeah.
take a deep breath. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. It was like I was being held down.
Good God. And I don't even remember what happened after that. I don't remember.
I don't either.
I know that we did end up falling asleep because I remember waking up. the
You
next
slept in the
morning.
bed with me though.
That's right. We slept on the same side.
Back to back.
Yep. And was that when we turned on the lights
They
on the radio?
slept. I did.
Maybe that's why it was only 2 nights. Maybe it was 2 nights.
It
and
was
that's
2
when
nights.
we
It was
did
only
the
2
night.
nights because I
Okay.
only had 3 days off
Yeah.
school.
Okay, so after that happened, I went into your bed and then we had the lights on and the radio on the whole night. And Era, I remember laying in bed and you got Era across the hall was like, you guys, keep it down. And so we're like, because we were talking, because we were fucking terrified. And I remember turning the radio down because we thought maybe that's keeping them up. And like, Era kept saying, you guys, be quiet, keep it down. And like, we were talking, but we didn't think we were talking that loud. And I remember you like, right, yeah.
There was this thump, 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 thump.
Well, where we were just laying and talking, with the
that was a noise outside. There
with
was
the light on, and the radio on quietly, and we ended up going to sleep. And the next morning, Era came in the room, like walked up the stairs and came in and like was looking around, and she was like, "Huh," and then she left, and then didn't say anything.
And you and I were like, we're
We were
out.
like,
We're
yeah.
out
And
of
then we
here.
were leaving. We were getting in the
Yeah,
car.
we're
we
like
that
packing
morning.
and we're gone.
And then we get in and we're driving home. And it wasn't until like 3 hours into the trip when we were like, okay, we're not there anymore. We can talk about what happened. And everybody in the car was like, oh my God. And then we got everybody's stories. And the reason, Era told us, the reason why she came in, she was yelling at us the night before, is because it sounded like she heard us walking around the room. Like loud, heavy footsteps.
And it sounded like there was a loud party in the
across
the
in the yard.
Oh yeah, that's
There
right.
was. It sounded like there was this big kerfuffle right across the yard, and as it turns out, like your neighbors having a late night party.
Yeah, I thought there was like neighbors on the patio.
Nothing.
There was
Nothing.
no house over there.
There was nothing there.
It was just woods.
It was just the battlefield.
It was woods. But it did sound like people talking, like a lot of people
But it was
talking.
also. It sounded like people were fighting.
Okay,
It sounded
that's what-
stressful.
That
It sounded like there was
Oh
a
my
party
gosh.
and people were fighting.
arguing.
Like it was late and people were drunk and fighting.
Yeah, and being combative.
And it was combative because it was a freaking
And
battlefield.
Era said that she heard what she said sounded like us walking all over the room and opening and closing doors.
Yeah.
Is what she said.
Yeah.
And why she came in, she was looking to see if there were doors in the room, and there were not doors in the room. There was a little crawl space, but she said she heard heavy doors opening and closing, latching, like, and then us walk, but like lots of noise. And she was hearing that while we were awake, laying in bed, talking
Trying to distract
quietly
ourselves.
with the radio on.
Yeah.
And that's what she was hearing.
When we
4
first
feet
got
away.
there, she was like, "I'm sleeping with Mom." When
Yeah.
we walked in, and we walked upstairs to, "I'm sleeping with Mom."
I'll sleep in here with you. And that's when you told the story of hearing something on the stairs all night,
all night.
up and down and up and down.
Somebody running away from somebody chasing her, like an argument and somebody running away. But I got very little sleep because I put out this energy thing. I did all the driving. None of these chicks could drive.
We didn't drive. Yeah,
I drove there. I drove in Boston. I drove home, and I put that net out. It nearly killed me.
and that's like a 16-hour drive.
Oh my God! It was excruciating, and it was which is one of the reasons, you go there, you're exhausted, you're vulnerable, and that's one of the ways that those things can happen. Also, when you sense there's something there, by denying it, that also makes you vulnerable. Now, you go a place, you sense something there, and you get in your bed and you say, "Leave me alone, stay away."
Yeah, well, and that's part of it is like we had those experiences. So now when I walk into a place, I instantly am scanning the room, scanning the energy, scanning the environment, and like setting my protection bubble out and
Calling in your
around.
guides,
Yep.
calling in your angels and your guides. Yeah.
and like I'm not gonna be sat on today.
Yeah.
Sorry, bitches, but I'm
Leave
done.
me alone.
But we all
Not open
survived,
for business.
Yeah,
and we drove home with only a few freakouts by me on the way home.
It was just one freak out, and it was at the Canadian border.
I was so stressed.
Remember that?
Oh my God! I threw a water bottle at my child. but-
Yeah. With all the windows open and all the people waiting in line to get to get interviewed by the Canadian Border Patrol to make sure you were a nefarious character.
All right, so
there's a
that
Canadian man next to us watching Wizard of Oz. And
Okay, so that year I didn't
shouting.
win Mother of the Year award either.
It's
Although
totally
I-
understandable.
Although I had just protected all their tookuses from
Yeah.
whatever was.
I mean,
I beg
Jerrilynn
to
was
differ. You
after
didn't
Jerrilynn
protect
was
me.
paralyzed.
Well, when I walked
Yeah,
in.
you mean after?
Yeah, well, when I went in, it was gone.
yeah.
Well, I
When
would
I
have.
showed
Because you
up.
didn't know. You
I
probably
would.
didn't know it
Okay,
was
so
that
next
powerful.
time, let's go ahead and put this out there. Stop it before
Do what
it
I was
sits on me.
trying. I'm
Yeah.
better at it now.
Yeah, you could.
That was
Just,
I am
long time
too. I would have
ago.
been able to. I would have
That
been able to
was
stop that
crazy.
I was
instantly.
really
is that the
working
only
on
time
that.
you'd ever been
Yes.
oppressed like that?
Yes. Yeah, and I would know what to do now. I don't
Right.
think
It
that
would
would
never
happen to
happen.
me now.
Mhm.
Right. I've had
I
kids
had no
try to do
idea
that
how to
now
put
and
shields
just
up.
tell them, get away from me, back up.
Good God.
My body. It's my body, nobody's
Well,
body.
and
but
at
mine.
that point,
Hey, Uncle Pat.
I think at that point we were still young enough that we weren't like secure in ourselves enough to speak it out loud.
Yeah.
And I think now we would be like,
There's something in here.
yeah, like listen, with this space is for the living,
Yeah.
and we want to sleep, so get out.
Out.
Like, yeah, like right now, and it wouldn't happen now. But
Yeah, it wouldn't happen now. Mm-hmm. You're like, there's
They
something
say it is something. It could begin to happen, but you deal with it
right,
in a
right.
in a more proactive way.
Yeah.
Well, my friends, we've been doing this for about an hour and 20 minutes.
They're good stories.
These are good stories, and it's so nice to spend time with you two. And I wanted to take advantage of. I always want to take advantage of something or another, but of someone or another. But with Rachael in town and Jerrilynn around and being fully vaccinated and feeling safe enough to do this, I really wanted them to tell their stories together. So I think what we'll do is we'll close this evening's storytelling time. Thank you, Rach.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Amma, for having us come in here.
My pleasure, and thanks, Jerrilynn, for coming back, and thank all of you for listening in. And be well, stay safe. Take care of your neighbors. Take care of yourself, and yeah.
Be kind and make good choices and take care of each other.
That's right. Take care of each other. We're all getting through this. This started just about 1 year ago. It was 1 year, a couple of weeks that I started telling these stories as something to do to try to connect us during the pandemic. And when we were all isolated and feeling, like so unsure about what was going to happen and had no idea what was coming down. And so I just reached out and said, hey, how about I tell some ghost stories like we did around here and in the evenings. And
Do you remember the day of the remember the date of the first one?
I think it was the 24th or something. Yeah.
Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Your 1
and
year
I
anniversary.
haven't done every week.
Pretty much,
obviously. Yeah, I've skipped a
pretty
few
close.
and taken a break here and there, but
I counted the episodes and to get the number of this one, and this is the 41, episode 41. So
yeah.
it wasn't every week, but it was
Pretty close.
really close.
That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah. And what's really weird is most of them are my own stories. So it's nice to have folks come in to kind of spread the wealth, because eventually I'm going to probably run out of stories.
we should, now that we're done.
Let's go to the state hospital.
No,
Oh my God.
we have the Cooper mysteries.
That's a terrible idea.
Oh, we have the
Cooper mysteries. So we're gonna let you guys go,
Yeah.
and we're gonna sit here and we're gonna start talking about the Coopers.
So there's
The
more
story's
ahead.
not over.
There's more ahead. But thanks for tuning in, and for all of you who have felt connected through these stories, I am very much appreciative of that, because I feel connected to you, and I'm so glad we've been able to share this time and stayed connected, though far apart. If I've learned one thing during this pandemic, it is that proximity is not necessary for closeness. So for those of you that are far away, I love you, and who are close, I love you too, and I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.